I don't think I would be here talking to you about Mama's Beans if it wasn't for setting those boundaries like really early on. And since then, we've been doubling the business. In the last 6 months, we almost quadrupled compared to last year. So we've really been growing hugely. We're doing really great. And I'm grateful and thankful to my then self, or actually having had that experience early on about being close to burnout, so that I actually still enjoy what I do today.
Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and oh man, today's guest is just such a sweet, inspiring woman who I have known for a few years now, and it's crazy that we have not gotten her on the podcast until now. Her name is Maika, and she creates low acid and low caffeine coffee for moms. Maika is super awesome. And honestly, in today's conversation, we really didn't touch on coffee or business as much as I thought we would, but instead focused on boundaries, focused on awesome mindset, pep talks, and shifts that we can make, such as redefining our goals in business, accepting that slow growth might be the path for us instead of the hustle culture. Oh man, you know I was geeking out in this conversation, and I absolutely adore this woman, and I know you will too. So if you do enjoy the show as you're listening, please go ahead and leave us 5 stars or a kind review. And hey, if you want to connect over on Instagram, I would absolutely love that. I am at Feel Good Social. Send me a message. Let me know that you came from the podcast, and I will be sure to give you a follow back and just continue cheering you on and spreading some love over there. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into this awesome conversation with this just sweet, sweet woman. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Hi, Maika. Thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Social podcast, lady. I'm so excited to bring you on the show. I feel like it's been a long time coming.
Hi, Kinsey. So happy to be here.
Yes, I did already introduce you a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
So I'm Maika. I live in Bulli, which is about an hour south of Sydney in Australia, with my 5-year-old son, my husband, Billy Ray, our dog, and 2 chickens. And sometimes my stepkids as well, who are 15 and 17. We got like the teenage and the small kids emotions running in the house. So it's a busy household, but I love it. I grew up in a big family, so I do love the chaos. We're right at the beach, so we can walk to the beach, and I'm definitely ocean obsessed, almost as much obsessed as I am with coffee. So I founded Mama's Beans Coffee about 3 years ago. And Mama's Beans Coffee is the first Australian coffee that's tailored for women during pregnancy and breastfeeding. So it's a lower caffeine, low acid coffee that mums can enjoy without feeling guilty about caffeine or acidity in that coffee. And started from my own experience. But anyway, it's coffee that I'm hoping is helping mum to bring back the joy of drinking coffee without the guilt, and just as well hoping to encourage mums to fill their cup and to continue doing what they love and not feel guilty about it. So that's what I'm hoping to do with the coffee, and also ventured into coffee skincare now. Yeah, that's what I do.
Awesome. I cannot wait to hear about the coffee skincare. I'm like so intrigued. I haven't heard as much about that part of your business before, but I love your story. I think that's so cool that you are so close to the beach. We literally just got back from Costa Rica. So I'm like, every time I go to the beach, I'm like, should we move to the ocean? And Brett's, yeah. And then we get back to the mountains. We're like, okay, I guess we like it here too. But that is so amazing. And I love it so much when people start companies like out of their own hearts and like out of their own necessities. And they're like, I really was struggling with this. And I feel like other women probably are too. So that's so cool. That's how Mama Beans started for you. Can you share a little bit about that journey of like how you came about starting it and what it's looked like through the 3 years that you've had it?
Yeah, sure. So I never thought I would have my own business. My husband, he's self-employed, and he was always saying to me, oh, we should do something. I'm originally from Germany. Was born and bred in Germany. And so he said, oh, maybe we can import some products from Germany, and what could we do? And I always told him, I was like, I'm a corporate chick. Like, I can support you, but yeah, I don't know, like entrepreneurship is not for me. And then I fell pregnant, and that was when I started struggling with mum guilt. Actually, before I was even a mum, was drinking coffee because I had a small baby, and on somewhere you can read, like it might be related to drinking coffee and stuff. And so even though my obstetrician said it's fine, you can have coffee, I still felt guilty about it. So I was looking for coffee online, low-caffeine or coffee for mums, and there was just nothing out there. And I really didn't go for the half-strength lattes and decafs. I really loved my coffee. Anyway, that was then. And then 2020, so that was about 4 years ago. And then 2020, we were supposed to get married in Germany. And as we all know, COVID hit, so we couldn't go. And that's when I thought all the energy and for my wedding preparations, I just needed a distraction. I was like, I just need something. So I was like, I'm just going to try out this idea that I had about why is there no coffee for mums when so many mums really are dependent and love their coffee. And so instead of going to Germany to get married, took the family north of New South Wales, like north of our state where you could still travel, where the coffee growing is happening in Australia. And I thought maybe I can, find an Australian coffee or talk to Australian coffee growers to create a coffee that would work for us. So that was really the start of it. And I think what helped was I had no clue about running your own business. So I was working full-time at the time, and I was studying part-time, and work was paying for it. But I thought the world needs this coffee, and how hard can it be? Like, I get the coffee and then I buy a few bags, and then like everyone will want to buy it. If you run a business, you probably know that it's just not that easy and simple. There's a lot more to it. And so I started the business, and I think I started 1 month before Christmas, and by the end of the year, I was close to burnout. I had 3 wholesale customers straight away, and trying to get a website up and running, it was crazy. And I was really thinking, I was like, wow, I didn't expect this. And I never set New Year's resolutions because I don't really believe in them, but I just knew that if I wanted to do this, I had to change something and I had to set some boundaries. So I decided for 2021 that I would just focus on my studies. I had just about 12 months to go, and work, obviously, because work was paying the bills and I was the main breadwinner in the household. And then I said, okay, I'm going to just do the minimum for the business to keep it running. And then once I'm finished my studies, that's when I'm going to focus on the business. So the first 12 months were really slow, but I kept my sanity and my passion. So that was really, I don't think I would be here talking to you about Mama's Beans if it wasn't for setting those boundaries like really early on. Yeah, and since then we've been growing, like doubling the business. In the last 6 months, we almost quadrupled compared to last year. So we've really been growing hugely. And now as well, finalists for some really great awards here in Australia, the Mompreneur Award and the Clean and Conscious Awards, that recognise businesses that produce products in harmony with body, soul and planet. So we're doing really great, and I'm grateful and thankful to my then self, or actually having had that experience early on about the being close to burnout, so that I actually still enjoy what I do today.
Yeah, wow. And congratulations for the growth that you're seeing. That's amazing. And yeah, lady, I feel like most of us like listening to this podcast have either been very close to burnout or experienced burnout or multiple burnouts. I'm over here raising my hand because I feel like that really does go hand in hand with like somewhat the passion and the personality behind starting a business in general. And it's one of those lessons you really have to learn. And boundaries, I feel so jealous sometimes of the young kids these days because they're learning boundaries like young. And I feel like for our generations, it's something that we weren't taught growing up
No.
and stuff like that. So what were specifically some of the most like helpful, tangible boundaries that you like set during that time that you really leaned into?
I wouldn't work on the weekends because also our stepkids, they're with us every 2 weekends, so I didn't really want to miss out on spending time with them. And I would still mean like I'd pack orders and stuff, but I wouldn't really lock myself away and work. And the same as well at night after work, because I already work full time as well, so I didn't want to take more time away from my little one and from myself. It's also, I wanted to give myself that permission to still do the things that I enjoy, because that's what I was preaching with my brand. Mm-hmm. So going to the beach, for example, like taking my lunch break, not to quickly work on Mama's beans, but to go to the gym or to go for a swim. So those were the really tangible boundaries, and to not pursue, I wouldn't call 10 stockers every week to try to get in as many stores as possible. I wouldn't beat myself up about posting consistently. I would listen to your podcast and know that's what I should be doing, but I would be okay with not doing it. Obviously, there's always a feeling with guilt, but those were, I think, the most important boundaries were to say no work on the weekends or at night when my little one was still up. I would sometimes go back on the computer after and also allow myself to do the things that I enjoy, going to the beach, catching up with friends and keeping my own sanity through that. And of course as well, actually the time that I had as well, finishing the studies, because work was paying for it. So I didn't want to delay it. I just wanted to get it done. And it was good to have that target to say, okay, I know there's a finish line, and it was hard to get there, but it felt really good. Like when you do actually get to those points, it feels good, right? Like looking back at it, I'm really glad that I did finish it. Yeah, that was really good. And as you said as well, as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we start those things because we're fed up. Maybe we don't want to have a boss, or we want to set our own rules and our own times. We want to be flexible, especially as mums. We want to have time for our kids. And that's a real risk I see, that from wanting to create that freedom, that you actually create this other prison of thinking like you need to work all the time, because it's so hard to switch off, because you could always do something. You can't just turn your computer off and your work phone and then that's it. You can always do something if it's just engaging on Instagram, for example. So I think you have to be very, as you said, you have to be like very conscious and disciplined to keep those boundaries, because otherwise that job it's hard to keep the passion for like sustainably if it becomes just another job that you feel enslaved to.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah, I know. I love those. I like getting really tangible about like the boundaries that we set, like specific examples like that, because I do feel like they look different for everyone. And I love to hear like different ideas of how you can set boundaries. And I love how for you sometimes like setting boundaries is like making sure that you are like doing the things that you love. And what I was hearing from you too is like making slower growth okay, monitoring your growth and making sure that you're not like growing too fast, and being okay with the fact that you don't have to grow too fast or anything. Because I feel like that's like a big thing that not a lot of people talk about as much. Like everyone online is 100K in 90 days, grow faster, see success, all this stuff. But it's no, what are your priorities? What are your goals? What makes sense for you in your life, and make that okay for yourself?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that's as well, that was one of the thought processes. I was like, because I was working full time, again, we were dependent on my salary in the family. So I knew that I wasn't going to quit that straight away, or not for a while, or even reduce my hours. And so that financially, I'm also not dependent on my side hustle to now be a $1 million business in 3 months or something. But it's really hard to take yourself out of that narrative that you see so much, where you think it was like, oh, people going viral or having amazing launches. And it's hard not to think my launch is not that great, or to be okay with that. But what also helped I think with being okay with that is just redefining what success is. And for me, it really, Mumma's Bean started out of a passion because I was like, there needs to be something. And having found this coffee, it really like having mums messaging me how my coffee like changed their world and how much they love it and how much it means to them. So that's actually success. It doesn't matter what the sales number is. But for me, it's because, again, financially, I'm not so dependent on it at the moment. But for me, success is that I can have the lifestyle that makes me feel good and that I can as well authentically live by what I want to encourage mums to do, because that is filling their cup first and not thinking that they have to do all the things before they can look after themselves. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. It's such a, like, it's just true. And I love that. It's a bit daggy, but like I love it because it relates to coffee as well, right? Like you need to fill your cup, and it's better if it's filled with good coffee. Yeah, I think the redefinition of success, what success looks like for you, is then follow that. And if you found your success or your definition of success, try and go towards that. That's, I think, really important. And it's hard to do if you compare yourself to other people on Instagram or TikTok or coaching programs, etc.
I'm over here just like loving the coffee puns and analogies, and so I enjoy that sort of stuff so much, and I love that you can bring that into your messaging. It just makes me happy. And yeah, for sure, like redefining success is a huge one, and accepting it for yourself and being okay with it and empowering yourself to figure out what does success look like for me, and all that stuff is so huge. And I think hard sometimes for people. I was thinking about this. I've been really like playing around with AI stuff lately. Like I've decided to embrace it and figure out how we can make it work for us. And one of the things that pops up for me so often, and that I'm grappling with for myself and my own personality, is okay, just because AI can help you do things like more efficiently or like more strategically, or like it can help create space, help you do more and create more space and more time in your life, doesn't mean that you have to do more with that extra time and space. Because I feel like entrepreneurs are generally ambitious. So that's just like one of the reasons we decided to start our business and stuff. And it's so easy for us to fall into that. I have more time, I can do this. Or, oh, I'm waiting for my kids at the bus stop, let me just like scroll on Instagram and stuff. But often the healthier part of setting boundaries, of being your own boss, is making yourself like stop working, making yourself give yourself time for the stuff that fills your cup and whatnot. And like that sort of stuff allows that passion to thrive in your business, because otherwise you get burned out. I love that so much.
Sustainable as well, because it's hard to be passionate like 24/7, like, because life still happens. So you still have to deal with that. It's not all smooth sailing, and it's hard to be passionate all the time. And yeah, like for me, like I didn't want to lose that. And I think, as you said as well, we do need white space for us to find ourselves and to come back, because if we're just on the hamster roll, it's just really, it's difficult, because you're just churning through the things that you think you need to do, that in the end you might not even remember what it's all for or why you started in the first place or what you should be doing. So it's actually really nice to have those blank spaces or that time, wherever you feel joy or wherever you feel like you come back to yourself. For me, it's definitely the beach is a big part of that. Or even as well, just spending time with kids or with the family, because in the moment, that's when you really, I think, this is why I'm doing it, and this is what I love about it, and this is what I want to share. This is why I think it's important to share Mumma's Beans and the mission around it, or the messaging around it. So I think that white spaces, especially for women, is really hard to accept.
Today's episode is sponsored by our brand new podcast, Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs. If you love the Feel Good Social podcast, I know you are going to love this new show where we explore how we can leverage the power of AI technology without wasting our time or selling our souls. Together, we'll dive headfirst into the world of AI for solopreneurs and unlock the secrets to saving time, boosting productivity, and up-leveling your business with the help of AI, all while staying true to yourself and your brand. Are you ready to unlock the full potential of AI and revolutionize your business? Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. Let's embrace making AI work for you.
And with these things, the phones, I just actually, over the last week, turned off all my notifications on the phone from emails and Instagram and basically everything apart from calls and messages, because it's such a distraction. And I would get up from my desk to walk to the kitchen and I would have my phone. So I'll just quickly check my phone while I'm walking to check in with what's happening. It's when it bings, I'm like in the flow of something. It's so hard not to look. Like, I don't know how you go with it, but it's such a massive distraction. And I heard the other day that the average person spends 1/3 of their waking time on that phone. I was like,
oh, yikes. I know, it's so sad, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I love that like tangible thing that we can do as well is I didn't have email on my phone for a while. I literally had to get on my computer to check my email. And then I got a new phone and for some reason I connected my email to this one or something. But I was thinking that the other day, I'm like, okay, not only is this a distraction for me, like at any point in my day where it's disrupting my flow, it's disrupting whatever I'm doing, it's distracting me from what I need to be doing, being present in the moment or something. But also, I hate how invasive it is and how it can like just so easily change your emotional state or your mindset, like without you inviting that in. Like I was thinking about that. I hardly ever like really pay attention to the news anymore because like it's a mental health boundary for me. So I can't handle it. But I still do get that CNN email, or I've been really trying to unsubscribe from a lot of the email lists that I've been on lately just because it feels like so much. But still, I get all of these promotional emails every day. And it pisses me off how easily someone can just pop up on a notification on my phone and I can be like, oh, great. Like the heat wave or something else horrible is happening and stuff. And just immediately take me from a state of joy or a state of flow or a state of creativity, motivation into something else. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I need to delete email on my phone once again. And I totally, for the longest time, have been setting boundaries with the social media stuff too. So funny, being a social media person, people are like, oh, have you seen these reels going around lately? Or have you seen that? I'm like, I'm not as much of a scroller as I used to be, just because I know what that can do to us.
Yeah, and it's also, again, it takes away from that white space of where like you can just sit if you're in the car or on the train or just fill every minute with it. Whereas I think it's really important for our mental health as well to sometimes just sit. And I believe maybe there's a lot of mums on maternity leave who create businesses. And I think it's also because it really changes your whole world. And you do a lot of times just sit because you're in this new situation, you're not working, you're not sleeping. So you're often probably too tired to do anything else. And you just spend lots of time with your baby and you reevaluate and put into perspective your relationships and like your whys, why you work, why you do the job that you do, on how you may want to change it. So I think that is a natural just break in our hamster wheel for a lot of women and for the first time usually. And I actually even mentioned to my husband the other day, I was like, in some ways it's not easy being on maternity leave, like it's not a holiday by any means, but to have this break away from your usual routine to doing something like completely different, I'm so grateful for it, because as men who usually don't take a big amount of time off, like they sometimes would never have that in their life unless they take a sabbatical or you really take extended leave or something, to really have something where they can put things into perspective and step away from their everyday and job and actually think about what lights them up and what do we want to do? What do we like about our job and what we may not like about it? And does it align with our values? And is that what we want to spend also probably almost half of our waking time with? Yeah, that was a really good realization as well, that I used to travel a lot as well and take those like longer breaks. And I know you've done the same, travel for a few months at a time between jobs, for example. And I just really love having that time away, and you come back and you're so motivated and you're so like full of ideas and passion as well. And I think that's so important for us, like the big sort of chunks, but again, also just in the little chunks where we just say, okay, on that train trip or on that car ride, we won't look at our phone. We're just going to look out the window and not think about anything.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's totally one of my favorite things to do is to just sit and think about things, or go, not just sit, but go on a walk or something. And it's so funny. That was actually a big realization I had during our like first big trip through Asia for 6 months or whatever, because I remember how hard it was to be sitting on these like 4-hour bus rides or 7-hour bus rides and not have service and not have anything to do. And you just sit there, and that truly is like how I feel like you need that quiet time to hone your own perspectives, to realize how you feel about things and stuff. And that's honestly what makes me a little bit like nervous sometimes for the younger generations is we didn't grow up with cell phones. We barely grew up with Google. I wonder what this like constant overload of information and constant distractions is going to do for our societies into the future and stuff.
Yeah, with my little one, we have 2 teenage kids, so there's 4 people in the house, sometimes on the phone. And I was like, no, we can't do this, guys. It's like for him, it's just normal. At one point, he's going to get a phone, and then he's also going to sit there on his phone. That's actually what he's looking forward to, because it just seems so appealing for little guys, definitely. But I think awareness is the first step, and it's not always easy to put it in place. And I think if it works for you, that's okay too. But it's nice to know that you can switch it off and that you can take a time. Like, it's on you. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she said she's responding to all these emails. She's got a business as well. And I said, why don't you put an automated email in? She always try to respond in 24 hours. And I was like, just put that you'll respond in 48 hours and have that automated email. And I was like, if people read that, they're not going to think, oh, wow, 48 hours I have to wait. They're like, okay, I know what's happening now. I won't email again tomorrow and ask where my answer is. It's just such a simple thing, right? If you tell people, they're usually like 99% of the time, they're okay with it. But you have to implement it. Like, you have to set that rule, right? Like, you have to set that boundary and say, no, actually, I want 48 hours. I don't want to stress. It stresses me out if I need to respond in 24 hours. So it's actually nice to know as well that we can take that power back. Like, it's actually within us, and no one else can do that for us. Like, people will always come at us and email us or message us or want something now, but that doesn't mean we have to do it now. You just do what works for you.
Yes, you get to decide. Oh my gosh, you are the executive boss of your life, of your business. And exactly. Oh, I'm so glad that this conversation is going here, because I've been there, right? Like with your friend who's, I gotta respond to the emails, I gotta respond to these DMs, like, and I started practicing a few years ago, like the implementing of boundaries and all that stuff. And it was like really scary at first. And did I get pushback? Like, from one of my clients, yes. And that same client came to me later and was like, when you started setting boundaries with me, it was really difficult for me and it pissed me off. And she said, it actually really helped me to realize my own patterns and behavior and how I was like interacting with others. And it actually helped me to somewhat start setting boundaries myself. And I'm like, yes, that's what it is. And I love the automatic email reply. And I'm laughing too, because I'm actually one of those people that like I don't even have one of those replies. And yeah, you can expect one in like 6 hours or whatever. Like not even so, maybe like next week. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly too, I don't really get a lot of pushback anymore. I think once you start embodying the boundaries and living into them, you put off an air and you attract people who respect them. You put off an air of like confidence. And if people trust you, they know that like you're getting around to whatever you're getting around to and whatnot. And at the same time, if there ever is any pushback or anything like that's not your people anyway, right? So it's one of those things I stopped caring about the people who are like, I need an answer now. And I've learned how to come back to them and be like, I understand that you want this done and I can get it done for you within this time frame and blah, blah, and be okay with however they respond to me because I'm staying within my own values or whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's the most important thing, right? Like just if you communicate, okay, for something like that, for an email, it's going to take me 48 hours to come back. For like a project, it's going to be a week. Again, if you set that expectation, usually people are okay with it. If you follow through, and that's what you said as well, they learn, if they get to know you and they know, okay, I might wait a week for it, but I know it's going to be there. It's not, I get an email back straight away, but then I'm going to wait for the delivery. I don't know when that's going to come and I have to follow up 3 times. So I think that's really the main thing as well. So set your boundaries, but then follow through with actually delivering on what you said you were going to do. That's a big important thing. And again, it's not always possible, and especially in everyone's life, but I feel like mum life, you obviously have some more variables to deal with. And so again, then you might not make it happen, but you can communicate that as well, and people will usually understand. So I just really, again, as you said as well, if you live to those values and to those boundaries, it's people can see and people can tell that that's what you're about. And again, it might not be everyone's cup of coffee, but that's okay too. And it's, again, as to what you say, what is success for you? And then the other ones are maybe like the tea people.
Oh my God. I love it. You make me like so happy. I'm over here being like, okay, yeah, like we don't need the full caffeinated straight black coffee. Like no, the people who need it to hit you right away. No, we want Mama Bean's coffee, the empowering coffee, the softer coffee, like the coffee that makes you feel good and like good about yourself and good about your baby.
Yeah.
I love your brand so much. It makes me so happy. And yes, and thank you for saying that as well, because that actually popped up for me too when it came to setting boundaries with social media and setting boundaries with yourself or anything you do in your business, any decisions you decide. One of my connections online, Erin, actually posted about this the other day. She said, the other day I was having a session with someone about my human design or something, and she said, I had this big realization that like a decision is a decision and then you can make another decision after that or something like all of your decisions are not set in stone. Like your life, everything that you do is ever evolving, and the best thing you can do is just be confident in yourself and your ability to navigate things, to communicate things, to shift things if it needs to be, right? Like I myself have pushed back the start of course dates. I've changed deadlines. I've not been able to follow through with things that I was going to say I'd follow through with. And the best thing I could do is make the decision that made the most sense for everyone, for me, that I had to make, and also communicate why I had to make it. And it's okay. And I think with like social media too, when you're talking about boundaries, don't be doom scrolling all the time. And at the same time, if you set that boundary and you're like going through like major anxiety and you're like, I just need to distract myself and I need to be on my phone right now. I just went through one of those periods with the house buying process. And I was like, I'm not living into my values. And I was like, oh wait, Kins, like you need this right now. Like whatever needs to happen. And all you can do is be gentle with yourself and try to do life in the best way. However it's okay, and just be aware of it, give yourself grace, give yourself love, and keep moving forward.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. That's just when I started with the coffee skincare, that was probably about a year ago, and I'd been making my own skincare for a while, but it was, people were like, what, you've got a coffee brand, you're going to start skincare? Like even the lady who was helping on the website, I was like, what are you going to rank for? This is crazy. You do want to rank for coffee? You want to rank for skincare? So I was like, I don't know. But I just had this realization when I started as well. It was my little one who wanted to copy everything I was doing. And so he was putting on the lip balm I was using and it had petroleum jelly. And so I was like, don't put that on, because he ate it. I was like, oh, why am I putting that on my skin? So that sort of what started me off making the skincare, and then coffee is amazing for your skin. So I was like, I'm just going to experiment with using the coffee not only for coffee scrubs, coffee face oil and lip scrubs and lip balms, etc. And I had a few stockers that were stocking my coffee, and then I said, I've got this skincare range now as well, like coffee, belly oils and all that. So they said, okay, we'll try it out. And so now I've got a coffee brand that sells skincare, which might be worldwide the only one, but it is actually to say, yeah, it's maybe unique, or a lot of people might think that doesn't go together and we don't know how to market it. But I was like, but it feels right. And I think it doesn't matter if some people just come for me for the coffee, or some people just like the coffee face oil and they just want to buy that, or if they think it doesn't go together. I believe that this is what just feels right for me at the moment. And if you don't like it, then you're probably not going to buy from me. But I can't stop. Therefore, like, I can't not make it. Like, I can't not do it for that reason. Yeah, I really, even like when I think about Mama's Beans going forward as well, I was like, where do I go from here? What's going to be next? Like coffee, skincare, like anything could be next. But I really think now it's so much more like when we set the goals for the next financial year, just finished end of June, and the goals for the next financial year, I said, we've been so successful in the last year. So I don't want to set a financial target, because what I want to do is like impact people's lives. I want more mums to find out about us. And I think over the last year, I've really felt and recognized that if you do what follows your purpose or is based around your purpose and your why, like, you will be successful and you will grow, because if that shows in every one of your actions, you don't have to set the financial target, because it's just going to show. It is going to come. So no, I'm not going to put a number there, because the number is either you reach it or you don't. Like, there's only two options. And then what? But what matters to me is that you can have an impact on people's lives. What that's going to look like in the future with other products, I'm thinking, or maybe with other products that bring joy specifically to mums in their everyday lives. And that's really all I know today. But it's about the impact and not the dollar figure. So yeah, I'm excited about what's to come. Let's see.
Oh my goodness. That's so awesome. I know. And for the record, I think that coffee and skincare makes so much sense to me. Just in general. Yeah? I used to make this like coffee face mask, like homemade and stuff all the time, and I loved it. And so as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, of course. And also I love the, once again, tie-in into your son was like putting your petroleum jelly and like eating it and stuff, like, and that just, the story is so powerful and makes so sense and ties so much into your brand. And it's about the values and the bigger purpose and the message. Like, it's not about coffee, it's about empowering moms and like lifting them up and lifting up women and all this different stuff. And so it totally makes sense to me. But yeah, also about the numbers and whatnot, man, that hits home. And I was thinking about that, yeah, with whether it's social media, whether it's setting like financial goals or anything like that. Numbers are so concrete. And I think that it's important to be aware of them and analyze them. And I think it's important to also not be so emotional about them, and to not make them as important as we make them, right? Because exactly what you said, you either hit it or you don't. And what does that do if you don't hit your financial goal? Does that discredit all the amazing work that you did? No, of course not. The less emotional you can be when it comes to the numbers, the better. And I love that you're like focusing on the impact and believing that the numbers will happen, and realizing that's not what's most important to me right now. And I'm okay with that. So great. Maika, oh my gosh. You are just so inspiring, lady. I love this conversation. I wish we could talk for longer. I always wish we could talk for longer at the end of these. But thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. And can you please like share with everyone how they can connect with you and learn more about you? Because I know they'll want to do that for sure.
Yes, so I'm mainly on Instagram, mummas_beans, so MUMMAS_beans. And my website is mummasbeans.com.au. So those are probably the best places to find me. Thanks, this was so fun, Kinsey.
Thank you. I know everyone's going to be so empowered by the conversation, even though I love that we talked mostly about mindset and didn't even really get into business, but it all just so intertwines and it's also inspiring. So thank you, lady. How great is Maika, you guys? I actually didn't mention this before, but she got up and we did that interview at 7 a.m. Australian time. I was like, oh my gosh, you were such a trooper. And she was so adorable. And I think she was more with it than I was, honestly, during the conversation. I loved her. So anyway, if you enjoyed the show, make sure that you connect with both of us on Instagram. I am at Feel Good Social. Send me a message. Let me know that you came from the podcast. I will be sure to follow you back and just continue spreading some love and cheering you on over there. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.